So this looks to be terrible news and dangerous warning signs of what is to come. As we can see here that Walmart lays off hundreds of workers at e-commerce facilities. Now, these are the same e-commerce facilities and warehouses that were already taking away jobs from Walmart employees in store as CEO Doug McMillon made a strong push to drive more shoppers, more consumers online and eliminating the in-store shopping component, and most importantly, theft. As he said, stores will close and prices will go up. However, we are seeing a slightly different pivot out of Walmart with these recent updates and headlines. Walmart is laying off hundreds of employees at e-commerce facilities across the country as the big box giant and other retailers brace for a tougher year ahead. And this is very important because Walmart was producing some intense profits for 2022 with some relatively strong projections for 2023. But apparently, we see that they're going to be buckling down or battening down the hatches, so to speak, and trying to retain as much of this profit that they can and brace and prepare for likely a stern warning of what is to come during this recession, possible depression. Walmart, the nation's largest private employer, is shrinking its workforce as many retailers plan on roughly flat or declining sales. Inflation and the shift back to services is taking a bite out of sales of goods, particularly after the C-19 pandemic fueled spending boom. So the party's over, folks. The music is coming to a stop. And again, the game of musical chairs here is about to end. And it says that Walmart's e commerce rival Amazon also announced 9,000 job cuts on Monday. This is already on top of the already 18,000 layoffs in January. This is a big deal, folks, because it's not just Walmart, and apparently it's not just Amazon either. Now, it says here that Amazon has also closed, canceled, and delayed the opening of new warehouses as some online sales shifted back to stores. Now, you guys may recall that I have some previous videos uploaded on the channel about this in particular, and Amazon making changes to new facility openings and new construction and modifications and renovations and additions and changes because we saw this happening last year. Granted, some people said, Kevin, you don't know what you're talking about. Why would Amazon hire so many employees? I work at Amazon. There's nothing going on. Well, folks, you can't argue with the facts here. And this is why we focus. This is why we pay attention to what's going on. This is why we try to have the most information and greatest amount of knowledge to plan and prepare for these things. Now, I don't have the video in front of me, but perhaps maybe I'll link it down below in the description or pinned comment, which is going to be several months ago where I told you guys this was happening. Another competitor, Target, plans to cut up to $3 billion in total costs over the next 3 years, but CFO Michael Fidelk said at a February investor day that the company is not backing away from investments in our team and guest experiences. But they are looking to cut costs, which again was like previous videos that I uploaded asking if Target would be next. It says here that a spokesperson for Walmart confirmed it was cutting jobs at fulfillment centers in a statement that the company said it made the cuts to better prepare for the future needs of customers. Interesting how that ties into the future needs of customers not needing employees. I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. The company confirmed to Reuters that it is eliminating hundreds of jobs at 5 fulfillment centers in Pedricktown, New Jersey, Fort Worth, Texas, Chino, California, Davenport, Florida, and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. This looks like we're almost, all four corners of the United States. It told Reuters it was reducing its workforce because of a reduction or elimination in evening and weekend shifts. That's a big deal, folks. For these fulfillment centers, these warehouses to not operate on 3 shifts 7 days a week is a telling sign of the state of the economy and how Walmart, this retail giant, is viewing the grim outlook of the future. Walmart anticipates slower sales growth and lower profits in the coming fiscal year. The company said last month that it expects same store sales for its U.S. business to grow between 2 and 2.5%, excluding fuel, which, guys, fuel prices are already climbing. And that compares with 6.6% growth in the previous fiscal year. Additionally, online sales have continued to grow, though at a slower pace than during the peak of the pandemic. E-commerce for Walmart's U.S. business rose 12%, the most recent fiscal year, which ended January 31, and the company's comparison with 11% growth in fiscal year 2022 and 79% in 2021. So they're seeing online sales still growing. However, Walmart is still closing stores. Folks, please pay attention to what's happening, what's going on, what we've discussed. And if you're new to the channel, well, then by all means, feel free to get caught up on all the Walmart videos that I have posted. Walmart's closing an Everett store that locals say was plagued by theft. Folks, they're closing these stores. They don't necessarily want to come out and say it, the reasons why, the particular customer base, why, the certain neighborhoods and demographics, why. But again, like I said, we will never shop in Walmart ever again after all these changes take place and they shut these stores down. Walmart closing Brooklyn Center store. And also, you can see here, where are people supposed to go? Walmart closure exposes growing gaps. Now, these gaps, excuse me, are going to negatively impact and affect particular sub segments of the market, certain groups, certain zip codes, certain um, customer base demographics are going to feel this pain more than others, with the question of where are they supposed to go? And these gaps are just going to continuously get wider. And I'm not just talking about the gaps in the distance between one Walmart and another after the one that you may have visited closed down. We're talking about the economic gaps, the wealth gaps, the socioeconomic gaps that are being widened here. And we've got, uh, at the same time, Fed officials state people hate inflation. And that trumps bank stress and job loss, which we are in the middle of. Record high inflation, bank stress, bank failures, bank collapse, bank crisis, bank liquidity issues, and job loss. Obviously, we can see here that Walmart, Amazon, Target, they're all looking to make cuts. And these are just a few in the retail sector. We haven't even touched on tech. We haven't touched on any other business at this time. This video in particular is about Walmart. And if people hate inflation more than bank stress and job loss, then they're really going to hate what's happening now. As the Fed continuously raises interest rates, the Federal Reserve faced a particular vexing decision this week. Should it raise interest rates during a bank crisis? And the inflation is high. Demand hadn't seen to come down, and so the case for raising was pretty clear. Barkin, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, told CNN in an exclusive interview on Friday. But the economic reports heading into this week's Fed meeting suggest the economy remains too hot. The Fed ultimately reached a unanimous decision to raise interest rates for the 9th meeting in a row. Folks, this is insult to injury here, okay? It says that some politicians on the left and right have blasted the Fed for raising rates so rapidly that mass layoffs could ensue. Far more layoffs than we're seeing already with Walmart, Target, and Amazon. Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren told CNN's Jake Tapper on Wednesday that Fed Chair Jerome Powell is doing a really terrible job and is trying to get 2 million people laid off. Asked about the argument from politicians that the Fed wants people to lose jobs, Barkin stressed that the public is very upset with the high cost of living. That's inflation, folks. That's inflation. And we're only going to see more of it The one thing that I hear loud and clear from everybody is that they hate inflation. They find inflation to be unfair, Barkin said, referring to talking to residents in his Fed district. You get a raise and then you have to spend that raise at the gas station. That creates uncertainty. It's frankly exhausting. And I think it's exhausting to have to shop around for better prices or to explain, you need for a price increase to your customers. Now, we got to understand the severity of this situation because inflation gets eaten up in your paychecks with higher prices, but also having to shop around, which is going to be limited and reduced with these Walmart stores closing and other stores closing behind it. Barkin added, people really want us to get control of inflation. That's what they want us to do. We're the guys charged to do it. The Fed, not the White House, is responsible for maintaining price stability. The other part of the Fed's mandate, of course, is fostering maximum employment, which is really hard to do when they already know that raising interest rates are going to cut jobs. We can see it here. We've already seen it in the past. We're likely to expect to see it happen more in the future, while also higher interest rates are fueling the fire of these bank liquidity crises and collapse, which will then also more than likely produce greater job loss. Fed rate hikes will trigger a downturn of greater speed and magnitude than the Great Recession. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. I'm reading it to you here directly from these news headlines from expert economists so that we can plan and prepare for what is happening. One in four Americans, 1 in 4 American parents struggled to pay for basic needs in last year, according to surveys, and that was last year. Things are only getting worse as we move forward, and these are not great news headlines. These are not great updates, but they are important for the fact that we pay attention to them and we plan and prepare moving forward so that we don't get wiped out by what they're planning to do to all these people.